Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Engines of Random, episode 2. Where today I'll be talking about not just the Alaska Railroad, but the Alaska Railroad GP40-2s. Before I start, credit to Amtrak Guy 365 for making Engines of Amtrak and the Winnipeg Railfan for the joke series about Engines of Amtrak. With that out of the way, let's break down the history lesson. In the late 1960s and early 70s, Psycho from Psychonosa Daka was the head of the Alaska Railroad for some reason at that time, and the Long Island Railroad needs some new locomotives to replace their old, greasy, and smoky three-truck climaxes that the Alaska Railroad got from the Yakutat and Southern, the Japanese National Railway. Is EF10 and New York Central P motor box cab third rail electric locomotives, and the Long Island Railroad Fairbanks Morse 816-66 baby Trainmasters. So both companies went to EMD and they presented them with the EMD GP40-2. The GP40-2 is a road diesel. Means that it could also be used for switching and also hauling freight on the main line. It also can be used as a ticking time bomb when it derails. The G stands for the locomotive was built in Gary's mod. The P stands for the locomotive is potato salad equipped. The 40 stands for how many potato salads the crew eats once every 15 minutes. The -2 stands for the high-tech -2 line that they pulled out of an old IBM PC. These locomotives were built in both America and Canada. They were built between 1972 and 1986. Over 1,000 were built. They were standard gauge, and they were 59 feet long, 10 feet wide in width, and 15 feet high and when it comes to tallness. These locomotives weigh 250,000 pounds, which is below the weight of Millennium of Force on a Union Pacific Big Boy. EMD 640. These locomotives are powered by 645 E3 prime mover, and they also had event recorder cameras that constantly would not focus and the crews hated them. They are also turbocharged, and the engines had 16 cylinders and had the same top speed as the SD40-2, had 3,000 horsepower, yada yada yada. Tractive effort does not matter because these locomotives are infinitely powerful because the Alaska Railroad and the Long Island Railroad gave them very high horsepower traction motors from old retired electric freight motors. These locomotives were also used in passenger service, and the Alaska Railroad used them between Dawson City, Alaska, and Yakutat, the same place where they got their climaxes. The Long Island Railroad used them between Greenport and Farmingdale. Unfortunately, these locomotives would not stay and were retired in 1998 by the Alaska Railroad and were replaced by the more powerful six-axle SD70 Maxwell. The Long Island Railroad retired them in 2004 and replaced them with the MP15 AC switchers. Luckily, all these locomotives survived today, luckily all these locomotives survived today. The Long Island most of the Long Island Railroad units were scrapped. However, 45 of those units still exist. Well, the Alaska Railroad units make up the bulk of the survivors. With 54 in storage awaiting restoration. The others are being sold. And that is all about the Alaska Railroad GP40-2. Tune in next time when I discuss the Long Island Railroad DM30AC. Thank you and good night.